So I was thinking the other day about how to write really short fiction, or how to write really short screenplays, like 5 to 10 minute screenplays, or say 1,000 word to 2,500 word max short story. And both of these are pretty popular forms, particularly for beginners, but also for people who are just trying to break into their respective fields. So how do you write a story like that? You don't really have time to cover all the steps of the hero's journey in that time period. You barely even have time to do the whole 8-step story circle that Dan Harmon talks about, though you probably could fit that in. And even the roller coaster, escalating roller coaster that I talked about in my episode on the fundamentals of story structure, you don't have time to get a lot of that in there either. So how do you structure a story like this? Well, as always, there's no rules. There's no one way, one right way to do it. There's many, many different ways. But I decided to break it down and see if I could come up with a simplified structure that I could give to my students, give to you guys, that will help you to basically plot out a story like that and write it really quickly. So let's dive in. This is a 5-step structure. It's designed to do it in, say, a 5-page screenplay or a 5-scene story, 5-step story, however you want to put that. Okay, so the first step is to throw the protagonist into the action. So of course you need a protagonist, you have some kind of character. You throw him or her into the action, which means you don't have a whole lot of time for setup. You don't have a whole lot of time to establish the character before the story gets going. You have to start in medias res with a short story like this. So where do we meet the character? What crisis are they trying to solve? And what internal flaw do they need to overcome? These are all crucial steps to fundamental stories. The second step is that you introduce the obstacles and the stakes. In other words, what or who is in the protagonist's way, and what does he or she stand to lose if they fail, right? How can you show that in a short time period? The next step is to escalate the tension, meaning how can you make things worse for the protagonist? What is their external obstacle and their internal flaw costing them? The fourth step is a crisis point and a lesson learned. What final crisis forces the protagonist to learn their most important lesson and change just in time to survive the climax? And the fifth step is the final confrontation and resolution. Oftentimes in a short story, you don't have a whole lot of resolution after the climax. Climax and resolution are kind of tied right together. So in this step, you have to demonstrate how the protagonist shows how he or she has changed and how they use that change to solve the crisis. They don't have to win, obviously, but they do have to show in some measure some kind of change, some kind of growth in some way. Again, these are not rules. These are more like guidelines for basic stories, but if you give them a try, go ahead and plot out a story. Maybe I'll do this in the next episode. I'll break down a story according to these steps and write it out for you live. That was a suggestion I got recently. I thought that was a pretty good one. I've been thinking about doing that for a while now. It's been a while since I did some impromptu storytelling, so I'm down for that. So subscribe so you don't miss that video coming up. But just to recap, the 5 steps are: throw the protagonist into the main action, introduce the obstacles and stakes, escalate the tension, come to a crisis point, and have the protagonist learn their lesson, and then a final confrontation and resolution where the protagonist puts that lesson to use. All right, so go ahead and give it a try, guys. Plan out a story, write it out, and see what you can come up with. I'd love to hear it. And so put comments in the comment section below, and like the video and subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you for 250 plus subscribers. It's awesome. And I will see y'all next time. Good luck and good writing. Peace.